arising, soul fam. TikTok is notifying viewers that we're live. So I'm going to give it a moment and just come into a conscious breath, just feeling the aliveness of this moment. Today I'm going to share an oracle message from the Tao, from the hexagram of the gene key that we are in. Right now, according to the gene keys, we are navigating the shadow of conflict, the gift of diplomacy, and the city or the divine expression of peace. And so today I come in embodying the frequency of peace and wanting to see who wants to share in this frequency together live. I'm still pretty new at going live, but it's exciting that we can do this, that we can just pop in from wherever we are in the world. We can tune into these little ethers and we can hear a message. And that's the power of oracling, is it's tapping into the collective frequency and it's pulling out a message from that place. It's actually listening to the medicine of the Tao, which is listening to the medicine of the moment, and then feeling into it. Welcome. Dario has joined. We've got some people beginning to join. Welcome. So grateful that you're here, of all the spaces and all the places and all the timelines, and you came here. How exciting. Ooh, let's take a breath together. Just feeling the connection through the ethers of all of us coming together and joining. Thank you for being here. We're going to do a Tao Oracle message. We're going to pull in from what we need to know now, and we're going to pull a message through for everybody that's here, everybody that's joining. Thank you for joining. Thank you for being here. Let's go ahead and align and tune with a breath. Just taking the biggest breath that you've taken all day, feeling the expansion in your chest, feeling the anchoring of your sit bone supported by the earth, feeling the inspiration, the flow of new air coming in to circulate the body with new data, with new information. Always and always we are being informed by the data around us. So when we get to do these lives, we get to be pulling in from that collective frequency and sharing what needs to be heard now, what we need to know now, what can support us now. So today I am going to share this message from Ma Deva Padma from the Tao, and the message is number 6, conflict. Will to power, hostility, jealousy, stubbornness, aggression, fear, competitiveness, controversy. So how are you all feeling out there? So many things on the world stage, so many things that can knock us off of our center. In all ways, we get to come back into alignment and say, all right, a lot going on around there. I can find stillness in my breath. I can find space in my meditation. I can find a pause out in nature. I can be surrounded by beauty when I'm outside or when I bring the outside in. So let's surround ourselves with a little bit of awareness, because awareness invites in that observer. We can turn the observer on, and we're not so close to everything. We've got a little bit of space. But that space, we can practice the pause. We can practice the response rather than just the reaction. So if there's a lot of things going on right now, so many invitations for us to just see. What's our response ability? What's our ability to respond? How do we respond to unforeseen things? Do we freak out? Do we play the victim? Or do we co-create with life? Do we look for solutions rather than problems? So it's a big key word of conflict, but let's look for the solution together. So this is the collective frequency that we're all navigating right now. We may have different ways that we are experiencing this. So conflict is fundamentally a clash of wills, and the clash arises first of all within each of the combatants. When an individual or group feels strongly about the rightness of an idea, a proposal, or a certain way of doing things, it's easy to lose sight of a bigger picture where each vantage point offers a unique and valuable perspective. And when opposing sides of a conflict get locked into their positions, both lose the perspective that's needed to come to a resolution. In fact, the atmosphere can become so overheated and tense that each party begins to see the struggle as a matter of life and death. So many people operating in the fight or flight nervous system. The first casualty of such a clash is the potential that lies within each of us to experience ourselves as an integral part of the whole, vast enough to embrace a 360-degree perspective, and strong enough to step out of the fight or flight duality. There's always a third option, which involves neither surrendering one's own deeply felt truth nor forcing an unwilling other to submit to one's own desires. But this third option requires that the clenched fist be relaxed into an open hand, and that the heart and mind be kept open. It only needs one of the combatants to step out of the battleground in order to change the whole scenario. Not by giving in or retreating to plan a more cunning strategy, but by taking a walk up the hill to higher ground where the view is all-encompassing. Both energy and vision are contagious, whether the contagion is defensiveness, anger, and fear, or the understanding that each of us is a unique and treasured member of a greater whole. Which kind of contagion we spread is a choice that's available to all of us all the time. The first step on that walk up the hill is to take a step back from the present imbroglio in order to cool down. Fundamentally, the task begins with oneself. Ask first, without placing blame, how the conflict got started. Look for the root of the strife within your own self and your own agenda, and shift the focus away from any preoccupation that you might have with the other. Each of us has learned all kinds of survival techniques in a world that reveres the powerful and those who take dynamic aggression action, winners in a word. But too often, winners need losers, and nobody wants to be one of those. So what are you afraid of losing at the beginning of this affair? And you have made a choice to follow that fear rather than a sense of your own strength and value. Or have you made a choice? Question to ask yourselves. Have you made a choice to follow fear rather than a sense of your own strength and value? By looking within to identify your own investments in a conflict, you can learn much about yourself and your fears and vulnerabilities. By seeing them clearly, you gain the humility to forgive and be forgiven, the strength to take responsibility for your weakness, and compassion for the vulnerability of others. So bottom line, there's 6 ways that we may feel this energy of conflict around us. The first way that we may be feeling it. Sometimes the best thing to do is just to drop out of conflict before it even begins. If it's too late for that, the next best thing to do is drop out of it as soon as it has started. One thing about the will to power, which lies at the root of all conflicts, if you don't give your power away, no one can take it from you. When you keep your power to yourself, that's the end of the game. Line 2, maybe coming up in relationships, always in the relationship to other. It's always the ego that gets provoked. The authentic self knows exactly who it is and where it stands. And the old saying is true, that in waging our battles, we tend to become like our enemies. You don't want that to happen, do you? Line 3. Opening up to the possibility of unification helps remove the blinkers that keep your vision limited and makes it possible for old rigidities to give way to flexibility. By doing this homework of self-work, greater understanding is possible. Self-respect increases and a more spontaneous approach to daily life begins. Line 4. Every no-win situation or conflict contains the hidden potential for a win-win outcome that can enrich all involved. Those who are in a position to actually defeat their opponents have a special responsibility and a unique opportunity to look for the win-win solution that brings long-term benefits rather than settling for a taste of victory that's bound to be momentary. Line 5. Don't even attempt starting anything new until the present conflict is resolved. Like removing a splinter from your thumb, it's painful but necessary in order to prevent further harm. If there's one available, it's a good time to bring in an unbiased mediator who may be able to shed light on areas of unclarity. Top line, line 6. When things reach a boiling point, the flame underneath the pot doesn't magically go out by itself. However difficult it may seem, it is essential to work steadily toward resolution. In the beginning, it feels galling to the ego because the ego hates nothing more than the appearance of vulnerability. But in the end, comfortable clothes are a lot less painful than a suit of armor. So here we go, conflict. The battle of the mind, the control of the mind, which is to say government, which means mind control. Sending you so much love and light this week that you remember how powerful you really are, and you remember what's in the best interest of the whole is what has sustainability. Because when we have an oppressive power over dynamic, somebody's losing, and somebody can't stay losing forever. This is an elevated way that we're navigating the world, and so we want win-win situations where everyone gets